Well, some mornings you just can't get very much good news, but I'm going to do my best to give you good news mixed in with kind of a rough start today. Sometimes you don't need special analytic powers to figure out why a stock is dropping. Tesla's down about 2.5% this morning so far, although that's a little better than it was in the pre-market. Tesla has reduced its car production at a plant in China, according to Bloomberg News on Friday, as the U.S. electric vehicle maker grapples with slow demand and strong competition in the market. The company earlier in March told employees at its Shanghai factory to lower output of both the Model Y and the Model 3 sedan, the two types it makes in China, by working 5 days a week instead of the usual 6.5 days. This was according to a report with people familiar with the matter. Now, this is not 100% certain to be true, although there's no denial and there's no follow-up. So far, I don't have anything that tells me that we know this for a fact. Bloomberg, they've reported false information in the past, but the market is certainly believing it this morning. It would be helpful for us to have some reality that we could associate with this. A lot of people are picking up the story and repeating it, but that doesn't mean anything either. You've seen that a million times before. So be great to know if this is true or not true, but the market is, of course, reacting to it. I will also say that this would be an interesting change of tactics for Tesla. So you notice that, in the past, if there's been weak demand, then Tesla has been lowering the price. In China, they've also done a little advertising, but for the most part, weak demand, lower price. And of course, there's been a lot of criticism of that idea. Generally speaking, Elon has said, look, I want to sell all that I can sell. I want to maximize plant production because we can lower the actual cost of goods by doing that. The overall total cost of getting I like to call it the landed on the floor cost is lower if we're getting maximum utilization out of the facilities. However, my guess would be, and this is, totally a guess again, but this is what I'm seeing based on being a manufacturer and being in similar circumstances, is that sometimes you look at the market, you listen carefully, and they've got very good ears out there in terms of listening to their employees at the various facilities, the various service centers and whatnot, the display rooms, etc. They get this information coming in, and they're taking a look at this. They're looking at the overall Chinese market. They're saying, look, a price drop at this time wouldn't matter. That's not where it's not going to increase sales to drop the price. In fact, they just raised the price. Now, that could have been, as I mentioned the other day, that could be an incentive. That could be okay, we're raising the price on March 1. You better come in and get your car now. And that, could be designed to gin up sales before April 1. Did I say March 1? I meant April 1. But then again, as I mentioned, it's a tricky little thing to try to do, because if in fact your sales are weak and then you get into April and they're still weak and you decide that you need to lower prices because you do believe lowering prices will stimulate demand, then you've used that one trick pony. And so one hit wonder, you've already used that up and you're probably not going to get away with it the next time. All right. So that's what's going on in China. And then we have this from the US auto market. Inventory keeps climbing. I am so sorry that this is the used car guy. I forget his name and I didn't write it down. I'm so sorry. Anyway, says inventory keeps climbing. Days on a lot for new cars in the United States now up 45% year over year. Last year, new cars were 57 days of inventory. This year, right now, 85 days. Used cars last year, 32 days. This year, 53 days. Outperforming Toyota and Honda. Low-priced sedans, right? And probably low-priced other crossovers, SUVs, and maybe even hybrids. Underperforming Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Wow, it sounds like Stellantis 100%. But what is it saying about the other two? I guess Ford and General Motors are middle performing. Well, we've had mixed info the last week about the US market. I kept hearing that the inventories were way up, and then we heard some information that suggested that maybe that was softening, or things were getting better. But now these numbers seem to make it clear that there's a lot of Q1 weakness in the U.S. in the auto market. And what I want to say about that is what I was saying earlier this week is, if auto demand is that weak, is that another piece of evidence that we are either already in or we're heading towards a recession? We've been reporting this week a lot about the housing market. The housing market is getting a little bit of strength under it right now, but when you put those building permits in and you start building some houses, that's going to help a little bit on the labor side for a while, but those houses aren't going to be sold for months and months and months. They got to build them and then they got to sell them. So we're looking at months before people are going to be moving in and having that actually have an impact on the overall market. The number of people putting their homes up for sale has increased a little bit, and that's unusual for this time of year. Usually, well, it would happen now, but they were showing it in February. So we're now into the end of March. We are now in the housing season. It'll be really interesting to see what happens over the next couple of weeks in terms of housing. All right, this is Randy Kirk. If you haven't already done it, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please hit notify. There is going to be a surprise episode today at around 11, 12 o'clock. It's going to be a really big surprise, even to me. I have no idea what I'm going to do, but it'll be a great episode. I can just promise you that. And then Larry and I will be getting together a little later today. We'll be talking about all the good news that happens on the day and on the week. And Larry's got some really good news. He's been having a streak. This guy's on a streak. He's getting his Cybertruck later today, and he will be reporting on that tomorrow. So, that's why you're going to hit that notify button. By the way, what did I do with it here? Jay has joined Patreon. Every day somebody's joining Patreon. Will you be the one that joins today? This is great. I'm really liking that we're getting somebody almost every day. Remember, this is a tip jar. I really made a good, I don't know the names of the coffees. It would have been a much funnier thing to say if I could have said mocha special latte thing. But I don't drink coffee, and I have no idea what you call these various things. We have some sightings in plain sight. This is an unusual thing. Joe Tegmeyer down in doing his drone flights, he said, look, there's some Model 3 Plus vehicles under wraps in Austin, probably performances. And do you remember 3 or 4 months ago, I started asking Brian White over and over and over again. Every time I talk to Brian, I'm like, Brian, is it possible that this Model 3 is going to be a bonkers bestseller? It's just going to really go crazy. And we're going to see the thing is just unbelievably cool in every way, shape, and form. Every single report that comes out on it, everybody's just raving about the Model 3 Plus. And now we're going to have the performance adding to that. And that would be the car I would buy if I were even remotely in the market. And so my question to Brian was, where are they going to make these? They're maxed out at Fremont. So if it's a big hit, how are they going to increase sales? Are they going to make more in Austin? Are they going to switch over some of the Model Y production in Fremont? What are they going to do if they need to make more? Well, Joe Tegmeyer suggested in his analysis that maybe this is evidence that they're going to start making some Model 3s out of Austin. Wouldn't that be interesting? And then would we also maybe be looking for some to be made in Berlin, which also has something that both I and Troy Test like? We're probably the only two talking about it, but the original plan in Berlin was to make Model 3s there also. So this would be a possibility. I just don't know. We don't have any more information than just that. All right. We have Elon Musk saying this morning, replying to CB_Doge and Neuralink. He says, I should mention, well, let me set this up. what is today? Friday, Wednesday, we had the video showing the individual there who had with the paraplegic. I forget his name. I should have written his name down. Anyway, we had the Neuralink being used for a guy to play chess with his brain. Okay, that was a huge breakthrough. One of the big breakthroughs that we talked about this week. And then Elon Musk said later that blind sight would be the very next product that they would be working on. And in this particular video, he says this. He says, I should mention that the blind sight implant is already working in monkeys. Resolution will be low at first, like early Nintendo graphics, but ultimately may exceed normal human vision. Okay. I'm going to read that again. Resolution will be low at first, like an early Nintendo graphic, but ultimately may exceed normal human vision. Oh my goodness. And then let me remind you what Brett Adcock said. Every human will own a robot in the future. We are at a turning point. Now, about this statement by Brett Adcock, yeah, every human will own a robot in the future. That is 20 years from now. Okay, you know I'm the guy who's always pushing it forward, right? And I'm saying, oh, they'll make billions of these. And, every human owning a robot is 20 years. Now, every human, think about that for a minute. Every human. We're talking about in, Equatorial Africa. We're talking about in Indonesia. We're talking about in, the peasant lands in China that still exist, lots of them. Really? No. I mean, really? I don't think so. So Brett, I like you. I think, well, I don't know if I have my problems with Brett in general, but he's a smart guy, but this is just not true. I just don't see, well, maybe he's talking about 100 years from now, and maybe there will be enough wealth 100 years from now, or even 50 years from now. But this is not something that's going to happen anytime soon. Now, individuals will own robots in 10 years, maybe even earlier than that. Individual people will have robots for their home. And when I say robots, I mean humanoids. I think that's what he's talking about. Now, maybe that's it. Maybe that's how I missed it. Maybe when he's talking about every human will own a robot, he's meaning, people will have a robot, that cleans your carpet, but the kind that we already see running around. Anyway, I'm not sure what he meant. What I can tell you is that humanoid robots will be owned maybe in 6, 7 years, maybe 10 years. People like you and me will have a robot in our home within that period of time. But not every human will own a robot. Anyway, okay, Tezarati says, Tesla full self-driving, beta, and autopilot users may see rapid improvement to their advanced driver assist programs in the coming months. This was hinted at recently by CEO Elon Musk, who noted in a post on X that Tesla is no longer AI training compute constrained. No longer compute constrained. Musk's comments were posted as a response to noted tech author and futurist Robert Scoble, who stated in a post on X that Tesla AI is very underrated. If Scoble speaks, listen. Scoble also argued that those who think Tesla has competition in self-driving segment are wrong. Scoble's comments carry some weight considering his presence in the tech sector since 1993 and his experience with self-driving technology. Musk, in his response, noted that most people really have no idea of the potential of Tesla's AI efforts. He also noted that we talked about that at length yesterday with Bradford Ferguson. He thinks it's insider information. It's so unknown and so unacted upon that it's like insider information. He also noticed that the improvements to the company's advanced driver assist systems would be accelerating more rapidly since Tesla is no longer computer constrained. Quote, yeah, 99% of people have no idea, and improvement will accelerate dramatically now that we are no longer AI compute constrained, Musk wrote. There was an end quote there. Musk's update was received with much excitement from electric vehicle and Tesla enthusiasts, many of whom have been waiting for the electric vehicle maker to issue such an update. Training FSD and autopilot's neural networks takes an enormous amount of compute, which is arguably one of the reasons why Tesla itself has pursued the development of the Dojo supercomputer and why the company invested a substantial amount of resources into NVIDIA-powered AI cluster. Lots and lots and lots of NVIDIA. With this in mind, Elon Musk's recent updates on X may suggest that Tesla's NVIDIA training compute cluster is doing very well and/or Project Dojo has achieved a notable degree of usefulness. Either of these possibilities will be either and or both. See, I'm adding those and/ors, by the way, that was not them. They're thinking it might be one or the other. I'm thinking it could be both. Either of those possibilities will be great news for Tesla's FSD and autopilot efforts, as they suggest an accelerated rate of updates and optimization. Well, accelerated rate of updates and optimization would be Elon's statement that every 2 weeks we're going to get 3 additional things being added. And I guess Park got some updates. Anyway, I'm a little unclear on that. That's why I'm not reporting on it with any specificity. But apparently, some of the updates that are out now do include some increased benefits on Park, but maybe that's only going out to employees anyway. It's a little confusing right now. Anybody who is bailing on Tesla stock right now, they're going to miss out big time. This is the biggest. Let me say it again. One of my commenters said, Randy, would you stop talking about how great Tesla FSD is? There's other folks out there that have other. No, Tesla's FSD is by far the most advanced AI system of any kind. And I've had that confirmed by everybody that comes on this channel. All the experts on this channel have confirmed my statement over and over again this week. Tesla FSD is way ahead of anything that's happening at NVIDIA. It's way ahead of anything that's happening at Microsoft. It's way ahead of anything that's happening at OpenAI. This is way advanced. And once you take that same chip and you put it into an Optimus bot, you're going to get that same advanced capability. And the advanced capability comes from the fact that Tesla has been working with these video in, action out. They've been working on it for a very long time. They've been working on it, I think at this point is well over a year, if I remember Elon's statement correctly, that they started putting the video in, action out thing way about the same time ChatGPT was coming out with the text in and text out. That's when they started working on video in and action out. And they didn't start doing all the video kinds of opportunities that OpenAI has done because they were constrained in terms of compute. That's what was stated. So they have way more, substantially more experience. They've been dealing with massive amounts of data for well over a year now. That gives them a massive lead. And I'm going to stick with my statement. If you got thoughts on that, let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'm completely wrong. All right. The last time I checked, we have some wild numbers happening this morning on very unusual, not necessarily in the equities, but in some places you're going to see. Anyway, let's take a look. We got Tesla down $4.29. That's about where it opened this morning. It was down more, and it looks like it had popped down more and is now back up to only being down $4.34. We have got the Dow Jones down 46, the NASDAQ down 10, S&P down $1.30, down 1.35. We have got Apple down, which is not terribly shocking given all their issues with the federal government right now, calling them a monopoly in certain regards. We got Google up, Amazon down, Meta down. So it's all mixed up. NVIDIA up $7.56 at 921. So solidly back over 900. And then we've got the Cathie Woods pretty much all down except for PayPal. Okay, so kind of a down morning, but not dramatically down. In fact, there was just a bunch of switching. Look at that, man, a lot of stuff just changed. We now got the NASDAQ up 2, S&P up, 3.03. So let's look at those in percentages. we have got Dow Jones is now down 0.13%, NASDAQ down 0.01%, the S&P down 0.00%, Tesla down 2.25%. So actually, the Tesla numbers this morning are not horrible. The market's taking it a little more in stride than I might have thought, given the significance. Now, maybe they've come to the same conclusion I have, that this is evidence that Tesla doesn't believe lowering prices is going to gain them anything this morning. Anyway, we'll see what happens as the day progresses. Larry and I, of course, will talk about it a lot more later in the day. Let's go over, again, earlier there was a lot of a kind of craziness going on in some of the other markets. Okay, so we got the bonds taking their slow, sweet time to make a decision about the Fed decision. And so this morning, though, we got the 10-year down 5.7 basis points, call it 6, well under my 4.25. So again, I've been saying that if the 10-year got under 4.25, it'll just keep going. Now it has done that. It's at 4.214. I think it goes even lower. I think the next level. I know that these even things, they're just true. So the next level is going to be like 4.0. Let's see if it continues down to 4.0. We've got the 2-year down about a little less, 3.9 basis points, and we've got the 2-month actually up. There you go. I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say it. You know what it is. You listen. If you listen all the time, you know what I'm going to say. You can put the words right in my mouth. We've got oil basically flat this morning at $81.13 on Texas Intermediate, and the split between Texas and Brent. That's what I'm paying more attention to right now, is the split. It is almost 5, 4 and a lot of change. As I'm standing here, the oil is not down just a tiny bit. But it's basically not that much. So natural gas down a little bit, down 1.49 this morning, 1.6, call it 6. We got the dollar set for a weekly rise, but it looks to me like it's a little down this morning. Gold was down a lot. It is not down as much now in the actual market. So it's sitting at 2179, but that is down a lot compared to its big jump the other day where it was well over 22. We've got copper down almost at 1% this morning at 4.024. Be interesting if copper goes back under 4. I'm going to call that another recessionary move. I know I'm not hoping for a recession here. I'm just reporting what I'm seeing. And you got copper, which was well under 4, has popped up over 4, but now is headed back, looking to me like it's headed back under 4 again. That would be the copper colored canary in the coal mine. That could be, yeah. Okay, we have got Bitcoin down 1,851. So after popping yesterday, I think the 2 days in a row, after popping, it is now back down to 63,358. So I don't, again, pretend to understand any of that. Let's go back and look at Tesla one more time, and it is now $3.77. So it is actually headed up right now, as is the NASDAQ and the S&P slightly. And no, you still got a lot of mixed stuff going on with Meta and Microsoft down and the rest up, except of course for Tesla. All right, that's what we're seeing this morning. If you have not yet hit the like button, you need to do that. You hit the notify button so that you can find out the surprising story that I'm going to be doing in about 3 hours, 4 hours, around 11 o'clock California time. There'll be something. We'll see what it is. But what you do want to do is yesterday's Cern basher. Oh, this guy with his charts and his graphs. You want to go back and check it out. Yesterday, we talked about the economy in general and Tesla and some of the kinds of things we talked about this morning, but in a whole range of other things that we didn't talk about this morning. You want to go back. If you didn't see the Cern basher video yesterday, the card is right there. And with that, I will say adieu until later. It's been great talking to you.